Hi everyone, I'm Marissa Santoro of In Our Shoes, and today I want to talk about a topic that's been coming up a lot in the Gutsy Village on fear. So, how do we break through fear? How do we break through fear and take action? But before I talk about that, I want to actually just pivot fear around for a second. Fear is actually a good thing. Fear is necessary in our life. Fear should not be something we resist, and why? Well, first of all, if you think about just being safe, keeping ourselves safe, the ego's job is to do just that, right? It's supposed to keep us safe. And so if we didn't have that fear as the signal, we really wouldn't be able to, protect ourselves. This goes back to, from the beginning of time as, human civilization, when we were, touching the hand to the fire, right? We needed fear to tell us that that was a dangerous thing to do. So fear is actually a signal that we need in our lives. The other thing is that fear is also a wake-up call, right? It's a wake-up call to why we are so desperately needing to grow, right? So if you feel like you are not where you are right now in a position and you want to move to a new position, a new role, or transition to something else, right? You wouldn't know that unless you have some resistance around that, right? Something might be showing up where you're realizing that you're actually looking to grow, right? And so that fear and a little anxiety can actually be coming from a place where you're really ready for the next chapter, right? This can show up when you're ready. Let's say you're divorced and you're ready to start a new relationship, right? There's some fear in trusting again, but at the same time you also know that if you don't trust again, you're probably not going to grow, right? And that's really something that we as humans need, right? We have to grow, consistently grow, and why having a growth mindset is so key. The other reason that fear is actually a key thing is that it also can stir up deep patterns from childhood that might show up in everyday situations. Like, let's say, for instance, you are not comfortable sitting in the front row at a public event, or let's say you're not comfortable networking in a group, type of situation. You actually find out through these fears that show up in different situations that there's an underlying pattern that probably stems from childhood. So, maybe there was a situation that happened that just sort of shut you down, and so now it's showing up in different ways as an adult. So this is a very common thing. Again, fear is the signal. It's not necessarily meant to stop you and prevent you from taking action. It's just the signal, and it's really a self-awareness tool so that you can learn even more about who you are and what makes you tick. But how do we break through fear? Well, the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to really think about the outcome that you're projecting in the future. So when you visualize a ideal outcome instead of a negative outcome, you're actually able to allay your concerns. You're able to breathe a little bit easier. The perfect example I can give with this is if you have a fear of flying, right? What is the fear? The fear is not really the fear of flying. The fear, or airplanes, the fear is that you will die, that you might crash, right? That's really the fear. But if you visualize a smooth landing and everybody clapping and your family greeting you at the airport, that wouldn't be a fear anymore, right? So visualizing a more ideal outcome versus a negative outcome, that feels right, that you can really wrap your head around. The other thing about fear, to really help you break through it, is if you recognize that with fear, there's a cost, right? You might be getting stressed. Your health might be affected. You might, be breaking down relationships, right? Things could happen as a result of fear and anxiety. However, there is also a payoff. There's usually always a payoff. So if you, for instance, feel, I'm just making this up, let's say you feel disrespected at home or at work, right? And you feel like people are stepping all over you. Well, I would, as a coach, if I were your coach, I would say, well, what is the payoff to that? Because there's usually a payoff. The payoff could be, and I'm just basing this on, the professionals that I've worked with where I've seen this show up. The payoff could be that you want to be liked. There's a likability gene. You don't want to say no, right? It's a people-pleasing gene that we all struggle with, right? So you're getting something in return. Although you don't like being disrespected, being able to say yes and give, even though you're being taken, could actually, although it doesn't feel good, there is a payoff. You are actually getting something in return. You're getting that, that likability need met. And then lastly, as you know, everything I talk about here at In Our Shoes is really based on intuition and your gut. And so, use your intuition, use your gutsy guidance system, or GGS as I call it here at GLA, Gutsy Leadership Academy. Use your GGS to guide you towards that decision. There are always two emotions that will show up when you know you are following your gut and you can trust your instinct. Two emotions. One, you have to be a little nervous. You have to be a little nervous, right? It just has to be there. And you have to be excited at the same time. It's kind of like when you're on a roller coaster, right? You're right at the tip and you're about to come rolling down. You have to have those two emotions in place. And you're always going to be in a good place when you're letting your gut really help you break through the fear. So try one of these, strategies. Maybe not all three will work for you, but I guarantee you, fear is running rampant in our lives, right? Even the last 3-4 months alone, right? Fear, uncertainty, we've all felt it, myself included. But when you're able to let things settle and really look at, well, what is the desired outcome? And what is my gut telling me? Maybe this is something that is calling me to move in another direction and pivot. And also, what am I getting out of this fear? Like, what is it that's, what's really coming up for me? I'm actually getting a payoff. All right, so I hope this supports you. I'm Marissa Santoro from In Our Shoes, supporting professionals, empowering professionals to increase their influence and communication in their field. All right, well, I'll talk to you soon. Bye now.